Assalamu alaikum to everyone. This is Muhammad Ishtiq, Lecturer, Department of English Course. Once again, you are welcome to the course of Psycholinguistics, lecture number 12. Today, the topic of discussion is techniques and procedures of contrastive analysis. This topic is actually in continuation to the earlier topic. We studied before that contrastive analysis hypothesis in many different aspects of that. In lecture 11, we studied different versions of contrastive analysis hypothesis. And today's lecture number 12, it will cover technique and procedure of contrastive analysis. Means how to carry out contrastive analysis of two languages. We have already studied the contrastive analysis is a practical, systematic procedure. It's applied linguistics, branch of applied linguistics, because we have to apply contrastive analysis to two languages. So when we want to apply something, there must be some techniques and procedures. So let's move to the outline of the lecture. This lecture will cover procedures for comparing languages. And what are the procedures or techniques for comparing languages? It has got 5 different aspects. Number 1, selection. Number 2, description. Number 3, comparison. Number 4, prediction. Number 5, verification. So procedures and techniques for contrastive analysis, comparing and contrasting two languages, it involves 5 major processes or 5 major procedures. The first one is selection of a particular language, particular target language and native language between the two languages between which the comparison should be made. And number 2, description, a thorough and detailed description of the formal and distributional and functional properties of the two languages. Number 3, then to compare certain items, certain rules, certain structures, or at whatever level you want to compare the two languages, then comparison should be made. By comparison, we means similarities between the two. We should also make contrast between the two. By contrast, mean differences. So apparently, it's considered to be contrastive analysis, but it does not only look for differences; it also looks for similarities. So comparison involves looking for similarities and dissimilarities or differences between the structures, functions, and distributions of the different items of the two languages or different systems of the two languages in question. At number 4, we make predictions about possible difficulties or errors to be committed by second language learner when we have selected particular languages. When he selected the systems between the two languages, we have described the two languages, then we have compared and contrast between the two languages, then we would be able to make predictions about how and where the two languages differ and at which level the students can have major difficulties, at which levels the student can have advantages. Means where students would have less difficulties or no difficulties at all. And finally, we will have to verify our prediction, whether the prediction made they were materialized or not. Means do second language learners make mistake or not? Means mistakes as predicted, means students of second language learner or learners of second language or foreign language, do they make mistakes which were predicted, or they are doing something different? So all these things to be covered in this lecture. Let's move to the first procedure, the first technique, selection. Procedures for comparing languages. So contrastive analysis is based on the assumption Contrastive analysis is based on the assumption. Which assumption? That languages can be compared and contrasted. Compared for similarities and contrasted for differences. So in both cases we have the possibilities of similar structure and dissimilar or different structures. Not only structures, functions as well as distribution, means where to place them in a sentence. So this comparison can be done by linguists to render descriptive accounts of the learner's native language in the target language. So look at the comparison and contrast is actually carried out by linguists or analysts or researcher or students or whosoever is it. To render descriptive accounts means to describe the learner's native language, mother tongue, and target language, means to describe both the languages that are to be compared. For instance, it must be one of them must be his native language, the other must be target language. Target language means it will be a second language or foreign language. Native languages is actually his mother tongue. So they say that they are going to have descriptions of the native language and target language on various linguistic levels. What are the various linguistic levels? It's a phonological level, morphological level, syntactic level, etc. So they say doing or executing a contrastive analysis involves two steps. Means the actual application, when we're actually carrying out contrastive analysis, it has got two major steps. Description of the two languages in question, comparison of the two languages in question according to James 1980. Mean description of their formal properties, their structural properties, their functional properties, their distributional properties, and then comparison between the different features and properties at different levels, comparison as well as contrast. According to the proponent of the contrastive analysis hypothesis, Lado, he says there are four major processes involved, but 5 different steps have been mentioned in the literature for contrastive analysis. Contrastive analysis means comparing and contrasting two languages. It's not only contrasting two languages, it's not only comparing two languages as said by James, it's not only contrasting two languages as mentioned by the, you can say, as mentioned by the name of the hypothesis contrastive analysis, Ledo. So in literature of contrastive analysis, we have 5 different steps involved in making a practical contrastive analysis between two languages. What are the 5 major processes or major steps? It involves selection, followed by description, followed by comparison, followed by prediction, and finally verification. So coming to the first step, that of selection. What is meant by selection? By selection, they means a comprehensive, thorough, detailed, complete comparison of two languages for pedagogical purposes is neither feasible nor necessary. This means by selection, it does not mean that we select the whole of languages. Rather, we make only certain areas. Why? Because comprehensive means complete comparison of two languages at every level, and for each items, it's pedagogically neither feasible, means not possible, neither possible nor necessary to do. I mean, it's neither essential nor possible to compare and contrast two languages wholly and completely. So we do what? We select what? That's why certain areas of difficulty in target language are selected. Only areas of difficulty in target language are selected, and then we have to compare the areas of difficulties rather than comparing complete languages. So certain areas of difficulty in target language are selected, and then the selection is based on what? It's not random selection. The selection is based on an analyst's prior teaching experience. I mean, the analyst who is going to select certain areas of difficulty, he must have observed certain area of difficulty due to his teaching experience or due to his bilingual intuition. He must be bilingual himself. Like the proponent of contrastive analysis, Robert Ledo himself was a bilingual. He was Spanish and English bilingual. Or prior analysis of errors of the learners, mean there are three possible ways to select, either based on your teaching experience, or based on your bilingual intuition, or based on your error analysis of the learners beforehand. And then when you have got these three criteria, on the basis of it, you select certain areas, you do what? Then you compare and contrast parallel features in the learner's with that of learner's native language, that of the target language. So next is description. When we have selected certain areas of difficulties, it can be at any level, phonological level, morphological level, syntactic level, semantic level, whatsoever is the level, then we will have to describe the level, describe the problem, describe the features. How? So they say, after the selection of certain linguistic items, it can be discrete items, or it can be complete structure or rules or patterns. Means it can be a single item or discrete items. It can be a complete structure or structures. It can be some rules. When we selected these special things of two languages in question, then the two languages are explicitly described. The description must be based on what? Formal features. Means which forms do they take, which functions do they perform, and where they are placed in a sentence. By distributional features means which place they are used. For instance, distributional properties of certain items, they can either take initial position, medial position, final position. So it depends. Now, when the two languages are actually described on the basis of formal features, functional features, and distributional features, then way for comparison is actually paid. Actually, it is made smooth, and then we can compare and contrast features of the two languages. For instance, different forms are taken by different structure or different items in different places. Similarly, different functions are performed by different structures or items in different contexts. So they say scientific parallel description of the two languages has always been the core of compare and contrastive analysis. Contrastive analysis has got very important feature that they make scientific parallel description. They don't make description which is actually random or unscientific or which is subjective. They make very, very accurate and exact description of the two languages, which is actually based on scientific methods, and there is parallel description rather than subjective and random description of any items without taking into account the parallel items or structure rules of the target language. A note of caution is to be observed when we are going to describe the two languages. By two language mean native language and target language, they should be described through the same linguistic model or framework. It should not be the case that the descriptive model for native language is one and descriptive model for target language is another. There must be same model, there must be same criterion, there must be same rules and regulations which should be applied to both the languages, to their structure, so that the comparison, so that the description is not actually based on two different models. Otherwise, the result will not be accurate. The differences in similarities will not be then up to the mark. It may not be reliable then. For example, if certain aspects of the grammar, of L1, are described through GTG by generative transformational grammar, the same model for the description of L2 should be applied as well. Similarly, if we are going to describe a language on the basis of structural description, then structural description of the target language should also be. If we are going to describe native language on the basis of functional perspective, we should also take functional orientation to the target language as well. Now, when we have described the two languages in detail, then the third step involved comparison of the two languages with respect to their features of similarities and differences. The subsystems of the two languages are juxtaposed. Juxtaposed means placed side by side. That's why we say scientific parallel description. When something is juxtaposed, means they are placed side by side. When we are going to describe one thing, at the same time we should also describe another. We should, if we should account for one feature, we should also look for the same feature in the target language as well. So subsystems of the two languages are juxtaposed in order to find similarities and differences between them. It's very much clear. Comparison should be on the basis of similarities and contrast should be on the basis of differences. By subsystems we mean phonological systems. Inside phonological systems we have stress spectrum, we have segmental features, we have phonemes, we have syllables, we have syllable junctures, we have tone, we have pitch. Many different subsystems of the linguistic system. Linguistics can be divided into major systems like sound system, word system, meaning system, word order system, and then these systems have got their subsystems. So linguistic features of the two languages are compared on three levels: form, meaning, and distribution of form. So the comparison should involve form means formal feature. By form we means, for instance, if we have if a noun has got singular form or whether the noun has got a plural form. For instance, the formal features of noun does change if it is changed from singular to plural, but there are languages in which formal features of the noun does not change. Similarly, if a verb is in present tense and if it is changed to the past tense, its forms also change. So its formal features actually change in form, and in meaning, its function. For instance, there are words which the change in formal feature also result in the change of meaning. And distribution of forms, same is the case with their placement. Where to place a particular verb, where to place a particular noun, where to place any particular item in the language. For instance, there are languages in which adjectives are placed before the noun, like English, but there are also languages in which adjectives are placed after the noun, immediately after the noun. Or we may say, as far as the placement, distribution means placement. Distribution, a definite article the. The definite article the, it is placed immediately before the noun in English, but there are languages which the definite article should be placed after the noun. So it does not take preposition, it does take postposition. So two languages should be compared on the basis of citing. Languages have got many differences like in form, meaning, and distribution. The comparison can be made at phoneme, morpheme, syllable, lexical, syntactic, semantic, pragmatic, discourse level. For instance, there are languages having less phoneme than others, languages having more consonant or less consonant, having more detail, less of vowel, less vowel. Similarly, based on morpheme, means how many morphemes can be combined? Does the morpheme take a linear sequence, or do they may be fused into each other? Similarly, the structure of a syllable, how does consonant combine? Does only consonant combine as in Japanese, or it is essential to combine, or you can say make a sequence of the consonant and vowel. Same is the case with lexical, syntactic, many. As far as syntactic is concerned, we have got subject first languages, object first languages, and verb first languages. As far as semantic level is concerned, we have semantically dense languages and we have semantically very, very low language. It means a single item will just give only one meaning. Languages having more metaphorical orientation, languages having more literal orientation. Same is the case with pragmatic value as well. languages more rich in pragmatic values, languages not having that much pragmatic values, and differences at discourse levels can also be made when we compare to different languages. Fourth one is prediction. When we have compared the two languages at all these levels or at some levels, we can predict. Predict what? Predict about difficulties learners may come across in acquiring the L2. At which level means whether there are more differences in phonological level or morphemic level or syntactic level, whatsoever the level, then we can make prediction about the difficulties and errors. Similarity and differences found to the comparison of the two languages should be judged to see if they are problematic for the learners or not. So this thing, when we have looked for the similarity and differences, their judgment can make us it enables us to look for their potentials, whether they can be problematic or not. If they are problematic, we will have to give more concentration to those areas. If they are not posing any problem, in that case we should overlook them and neglect them. The learners can cope with them easily. So predictions are made to the formulation of a hierarchy of difficulties. This is one of the very most important topic, one of the most important idea in this lecture. In the coming lecture, we will discuss what is meant by hierarchy of difficulty, a very rich topic again. So prediction are not made randomly again. How predictions should be made? It should be made on the basis of a hierarchy of difficulty. What is a hierarchy of difficulty? It will be the topic, a topic of discussion in our next lecture. So predictions are made on the basis of hierarchy of difficulty, and finally when the predictions are made, what will be done? The last step is actually verification of the prediction. By verification, we means finding out whether the predictions made about errors and difficulties actually materialize or not. Means the predictions made on the basis of similarities and differences, or the hierarchy of difficulties made, means we should look for in actual performance of second language learner or foreign language learner, whether the predicted difficult areas they really pose problem, or second language learners face no problems at all as far as the predicted areas are concerned, as far as the prediction is concerned. If the predictions are actually materialized, mean they are realized, they are really significant or not, it will have to be verified by actually observing the performance of second language learner, or actually looking for the process of second language learners taking place during the process of learning. References is actually added commonly in planning, and in case of any problem, you may ask any question. You're welcome.